What's going on, Philly? Back for another edition of Drunk on Broad. I am your host, Rich Conroy, joined alongside my co-host, Sir Don Juan, of course, the best producer in the land, in the area, in the intraweb, Oscar.
Intraweb.
What? What's going on, Philly?
What's going on, guys? We have some fun things to talk about. You know, we got some cool things going on. You know, the Flyers actually did something. Thank you, Mike from Fired Up, for breaking that news to me. That's where I first saw it, and I'm like, oh, what happened? So Don's going to get into that. But before that, we have to give a special shout out to our friends. I'm going to throw it on there, Oscar. Our friends over at Fired Up. There's that jerk off, Don.
That's right.
My boy who hates the first baseman. I only call him a jerk off because he hates first baseman, but he's a great guy. Great show. Tune into him on Mondays. Find their stuff on Apple and Spotify. Great dudes. But if you see, he's rocking the Drunk on Broad shirt. What a good fucking guy. What a guy. Cheers to that, boys over Fired Up. Thank you, Dom. Thank you, Mike. The show last night was great. If you don't listen, like, subscribe. And Nick is coming on as we speak. We'll throw that big bitch up there. What's up, brother?
I was just gonna say
the Goondocks hat. I love it. Nick, are you drinking chocolate milk or is that a smoothie?
Yeah, that's a smoothie.
Oh, look at you, big dog. Look at that big cat. Oh, and also shout out to Aunt Rosie and Uncle Bill for giving these dope ass dugout mugs.
They are dope.
Dude, this is the best thing ever. It's an engraved hollowed out baseball bat that I can drink beer from. So, gentlemen, cheers.
That is insane.
Cheers, gentlemen. Cheers.
Cheers.
I'm going to let Don handle some housekeeping before we say hello and what's up to Nick. So, Don, we'll throw that up on the screen. Take it away there, brother.
All right. So what you're seeing here is, so these are some of the designs that you can find exactly where Dom found his Drunk on Broad t-shirt design. And you'll see we've kind of taken some of the sayings that are notoriously associated with the town and with the city and with the teams. And we've kind of just embedded our logo in there. So, you can get this logo and any of those logos on pretty much anything. You can get it on maternity shirts. You can get it on hats, onesies, all sorts of good stuff. And all of that is something that will help us, cover costs of things like StreamYard, but then also anything that's in excess of that, we're able to, at some point pick a place to, make a donation to and help out some local causes. But we've got some good stuff on there, and I might say that this is probably one of our fan favorites.
Got to get Uncle Jack's. You have to get Uncle Jack's picture on something. It's the only way possible. So get your Drunk on Broad stuff. And as Real Prince Blue says, Nick, we need to get your beard a Twitter handle.
What's funny is I trimmed it down for your wedding, so it was even longer. It was like down here, but I said, you know what? I gotta look like somewhat presentable.
No, we need a Nick's beard.
It grows fast, man. You know how it is, Rich. It grows like wildfire.
It does. Oh, there's Sean, my cousin Sean, fucking Uncle J. Exactly. Said Sean. Said. Gentlemen, we have a fun show. But Don, I'm going to let you take over because you were the man with the plan. Nick, I'm going to let you talk about the Nets after this because I want to hear what's going on with that. But Don, please, the Flyers made a move.
They made a move, and I got to tell you, they basically they took one of Mark Zumoff's catchphrases and they turned some garbage into gold. They got themselves, a guy who is going to be, a top pair defenseman. They get Ryan Ellis from the Predators. And the last time, they got somebody who was in late 20s, early 30s defenseman from the Preds. It was a guy that was, a key cog for them for a while, Kimmo Timonen. So, they gave up Nolan Patrick, who was a guy who was a guy who we discussed in the past couple of weeks, one of those failed number 2 overall picks who just never quite got it together. And Nashville ends up spinning him and spinning him off to Vegas.
He was doomed. He was doomed from the jump.
Yeah.
I felt, man, you're the number 2 pick and you come up and you do absolutely nothing. You're going to get crucified. And then he had the head injuries and the migraines. That doesn't help you out. But let's be real. Nolan Patrick was an absolute bust. Absolute bust with this team. And like he said, sometimes it just takes a change of scenery. So I don't wish the guy well because he's not a Flyer anymore. I don't care what happens. Let's bring on this season, baby.
Yeah.
So what do you think of the defenseman?
So I think now you pair him with Provorov, and you're securing the back end of that defense that was the biggest hole on this team last year. I feel like a lot of Carter Hart's struggles in net were due to the fact that he had no defense. I mean, we talked about the fact that he had, 48 saves in like 40 something. No goalie should have to have 40 plus saves. I just think that this is a move that is going to help them secure the back end of this the back end of this D line. And that's something else we'll talk about later. But I also like the fact that there are rumblings that they're in the market for a guy like Tarasenko from the Blues.
Nice.
There's talks that Seattle takes him and then spins him and trades him to the Flyers
for Voracek.
To try to get that off the board.
That would be nice.
If they can swap Voracek for Tarasenko, if Tarasenko gets picked, but I think that's I don't know that I'll be tuning into the Kraken expansion draft, but if I'm paying attention to the guys that they've picked, if Tarasenko is a guy that they picked, there's a lot of noise out there that Seattle is not where he's gonna stay. So
they can build a super team. Did you see the guys eligible for that team? Ooh, they could have a really good roster, man. Remember what happened in Vegas when Vegas came in the league? Yeah. They took the league by storm. They've been in the playoffs ever since, man.
Yep.
Every year they make the playoffs. So they can go add Carey Price as their goalie. That's who's eligible. So you're gonna get, probably a potential Hall of Fame goalie to start as your franchise goalie, like Vegas did with Marc-Andre Fleury. It's these guys come in and just make an impact. But it's funny about the Nolan Patrick thing, Rich.
What
is that? I didn't know much about his full background, but me and your dad were talking for an hour on Friday, and he was talking about it, and he's like, "Well, Nolan Patrick is hockey royalty because his grandfather was some legendary hockey player who's a Hall of Famer apparently." Yeah, I'll look that up. But I was just looking at the draft again, 2017 draft, right? So the top 5 picks, all of them have been all-stars except for Nolan Patrick. So, Hersher went number 1 on the Devils. And then the defenseman, Heiskanen, you take him and then you pay him a Provorov, and you got the 2 defensive studs for the next decade.
I'm excited about that.
But they took Nolan Patrick. And then the next 2 guys, Colmacher and Elias Pettersson, they're both all-stars too. So I'm going to try and find out who his grandpop is. And I didn't know that, Rich. Your dad.
Yeah, he told me. He said they named some kind of award after him. So I have no idea who it is. But it's interesting fact because Mike says interesting in his Vegas presser. He never said migraine disorder. He called it a concussion. Sean says they're not done yet either. So I'm excited. And then of course
they better
Sean
not be.
Lindros 2.0, which is essentially, but just not.
Wait, who's that? Patrick?
Not as good.
Patrick.
That's
head
really
injuries. Yes.
Lindros was the best player in the league for a while.
Yeah, I think he's just going off of head injuries.
Yeah,
but there we go. Except he stinks.
There you go. Lindros's head injuries were due to dirty hits, though. They weren't just because he's got random issues and he's using that as an excuse. That's what I think part of it was. So I just looked. Rich, it says that his dad played 250 games in NHL. His grandfather played football is a politician, but his uncle, James Patrick, played 1,300 games at NHL, played for the Sabres and the Stars. And so, like, you know, there's his whole family has basically played in the NHL or played in some type of pro sport in Canada. So, you know, I'm sure that that's part of it. But, like, ultimately, if a kid can play, he can play. I mean, it's really, it's really it.
Chip wants to know who we think is getting picked by Seattle. I say take Voracek, please. Just take him. I'll fly him out there.
It would be nice. It would be nice, but there's a lot of. I mean, you look at some of the names; they got really good names. I mean, I know Don knows some of those names, but the I'm gonna pull it up.
But Rich, honestly, I would rather them take a guy like Ghost and then be able to flip Voracek for Tarasenko.
Well, yeah, that'd be a beautiful thing too. I'm just saying. What are you gonna do? But we tried to get rid of Ghost. I mean, we cut Ghost last year, and he cleared waivers. So obviously, there's not that much value out there.
I mean, they're gonna have to take on some money no matter what, right? But there's like you're looking at some of these players available, and like they can build a really good like starting. Like there's like some high level defenseman quality on here. Like Ghost would be, you know, you add him as one of your back end defensemen, that'd be great. But they put him on waivers last year, and nobody wanted him. So it's like. I mean, yeah, like Tarasenko is on the list of available players. That'd be awesome if we could get him. I mean, all he does is score basically.
Right. He's just gonna light up the score. Like he's gonna be a guy that you can pencil in, you know, 5 to 8 points a week.
Yeah, you put him on the line they probably put him on the first line with Giroux, and Giroux would just get a ton of assists with him.
Right.
Which would be a beautiful thing because we need him. We need him to do a little more.
But
we also need to surround them with talent. Go ahead, Nick. I'm sorry.
In the words of big Richard Conroy, the OG Rich Conroy, the Flyers are never going to be shit until they get rid of Bobby fucking Clark. Still talking about beating the Red Army in 1974. Nobody fucking cares.
That's all my dad talks about. Bobby Clark and them fucking old jerk-off Flyers, all they talk about is beating the Russians, and they don't want to draft any Europeans because he fucking hates them, so we just get slow and dumb Americans. That's literally what my dad says.
You know, I used to see Paul Holmgren in the Wawa, and I used to go up to him and say, hey, Paul, how you doing? He's like, hey, how you doing? He's like, hey, one word for you, Paul. European. Grab the Europeans.
I swear to God, he really did. He really did. My dad is very, very embarrassing when it comes to that.
Yeah, but
it's true
because he's older OG, and also your dad's also like 6'2", 6'3", big dude. So people are like, oh, whoa, you know, they just listen to him talk, man.
You kind of have to at this point. He's just an old delusional man, so you got to listen to what he says. Comes with wrist, with shoulder holds up, it's huge.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like the Flyers are trying to move in the right direction, but you're still going to have things that are going to hinder you. But we need to make more. We need to do something. We need more offense, but especially, we do need more defense because Carter Hart can't stand on his head for 3 periods. It just gets ridiculous watching that defense play. So this only helps. Go ahead.
I lost what I was going to say, man. That's all me.
Or it could be on me. But Nick, I want to move to you anyway because that was definitely on me because I cut you off like 3 times. I don't have a banner for it, but you brought up something really interesting about the Nets. So I want you to talk about what's going on with that because that was pretty nuts.
All right. So there's a story that came out. I'm going to find the exact day. So it was earlier. I believe it was last week. I don't think this happened yesterday. It might have been yesterday, though, to be honest with you, because I'm just trying to see when the story was posted online. It was posted online. It's posted. So apparently he went on Dan Lebitard's radio show. This reporter named Matt Sullivan. I never heard of him before, but apparently, like I said, he was writing a book basically about the Nets, and it's called what's it called? We don't really want to care about his book. Anyway, he was granted permission by the team. So the Nets granted him permission to work with one of their beat writers. Okay. So that means when you're a beat writer, you get to be in practice, after practice, at games, after games, talk to the players, listen to the players. Also, you're going to see front office people. You're going to hear kind of what's going on. So I did send you the quick screenshot of basically what happened. So he said that the Nets basically do certain things to avoid the cap, with all these players that they signed, and they made that known to the players that they were going to sign, i.e. Blake Griffin after they signed. They use it as an incentive to try and pull KD and Kyrie there.
This is fucking insane.
Also let James Harden know that this was going to be part of the package when he came over here. So the NBA has a soft cap anyway, right? That's the only reason why the teams are able to spend this much money, right? Like I told you, Rich, like Steph Curry's making $45 million. Like all these guys make ridiculous amounts of money.
Yes.
And they do it because they don't have a hard cap like they do in football or even baseball where they get luxury tax penalty on top of it, and they penalize you every time you're paying over this. So the guy said his direct words on Dan Le Batard's radio show, who doesn't work for ESPN anymore. You guys probably know that. So
yes,
he said, I spoke with a high-ranking official with the Nets who watches over all the money. And he said basically there was a blank check as soon as these guys got here on top of their contracts.
That's insane.
So he said whether that's buying a girlfriend or a girlfriend on the side something, or getting them a house in California for the week, putting up money for their boys and equipment for random shit, whatever they wanted, the team was totally cool with covering all that at a team expense.
That is nuts.
So he said, but they had to have some meetings with them because every week it was something new and they had to adjust the numbers. So I think that's what makes the Nets a modern franchise. It's not their fancy facilities, their defensive schemes. It's that they're willing to put up with this. Basically, the team is run by KD and Kyrie. The management just controls the money and they hand them checks because ultimately the NBA is a players' league. Now, and this, just like I said to you guys earlier, I think that this is horrible for the NBA because it makes them look so soft, and it lets them, and it basically tells everybody else, players, this is going to keep happening with the super team crap because they're going to be able to do whatever they want. If there's no hard cap and you can circumvent cap with all these luxuries and tell me, like, listen, Rich, you want to come and play in Brooklyn? Not particularly. I don't really care about Brooklyn. I can go play in Miami where it's tax-free. Yeah, but if you come here,
I'll buy your house.
Your wife will never know about your girlfriend because we're going to pay for her rent for during the season.
That is so fucking crazy.
And crazy. There's a new Bentley that came out. Does she want that? She can drive it. No problem. We'll rent it for her. Whatever she wants. And then you guys want to have a party there? I'll pay for the party. Booze, DJ, whatever you want. We'll pay for it all.
Like, how can you get away with that?
They're basically telling the players, you come and play here. You wear our jersey. You play these games. You get us to the playoffs, and you win games. Whatever you want, we'll pay for it. And these guys are making $40 million, $30 million. They can afford whatever they want.
Imagine going to a franchise and them saying, "Hey, we know you got like 3 girlfriends. I know you don't want to play in OKC. Mm-hmm. We can literally buy your hoes a house."
Yeah.
That is
and you know how
nuts.
Oscar knows how expensive Brooklyn is and New York. Like, this stuff is not cheap. So there's the thing. These players, right? These guys are all snakes when it comes to their personal life with women and whatever.
Oh yeah.
So now, if say he's married and his wife is like, if he's playing here and we're not doing that, his wife can be like, "Why are you spending $4,000 a month for this apartment in downtown when you come home every night during home games? Who lives there?" Right? But if the team's paying for it, she'll never see that money. She'll never see it.
Right.
So it's like
it's wild. And they, like you're talking their salaries are 40. Like that doesn't count the tens of millions of dollars that they're making on endorsements and sponsorships.
They get free clothes. They eat for free when they're at the stadiums. They get to work out for free. They get a nutritionist for free. All this stuff is free.
Yeah,
so then you're giving them free stuff.
But then what are you spending money on?
Literally, this all circumvents salary cap. So what's the point of having a salary cap then?
There isn't.
Right? Then also, like I said, Adam Silver needs to send a message here and say, "Hey, I'm aware of this. This is a problem, and this is done." Whether you remember, there was an issue with David Stern. Remember, the Timberwolves did some type of weird thing a couple years ago. He suspended 5 draft picks from them. They couldn't have 5 draft picks. Ended up getting reduced to 3, and that was David Stern, who they said was a players commissioner, got the NBA back on the map. Now, Adam Silver, the players love him. It's because he's soft. I don't think he's going to do anything.
Well, and the other thing is,
the players run this league, so if we do that, then the players are going to be unhappy. What do you mean the players are unhappy? They get all guaranteed money, bro. They're making $30, $40 million. Joel Embiid's next contract is going to get close to $50 million a year, fully guaranteed. I don't care how unhappy he is. Play basketball. You want to do shady shit? Use your own money. All right.
Well, and the NBA will also another reason that they will look the other way is because they need Brooklyn to be relevant. They need Brooklyn to be the super team because the Knicks right now are not.
Yeah.
So they need Brooklyn to be relevant. So they can't have Brooklyn not be just they need that super team there.
Here's the thing. You're correct. But this is the reason why the NBA, I have an issue with the NBA. They will pick and choose when they want to enforce the rules and when they don't.
Oh, of course. Oh, yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
So they're going to let this slide, but then they hammered us for Sam Hinkie because
they gave us Colangelo. They appointed us.
They forced Colangelo on us. But no, listen, Rich, I heard
they didn't even give us. They forced that.
Yeah, they forced it.
One of the other there's another reporter in the city. I forget who it was, and he said that he spoke with some of these guys that are in the head of the NBA and do the voting and stuff. And he said the issue that happened, he said by them letting Sam Hinkie do that and kind of broke down the NBA, like the whole tanking thing, and showed that, listen, it does work if you do it right.
Yeah. And not for nothing, but OKC is
doing right now.
They're doing one hell of a process right now.
Yep.
I mean, they've got 18 first-round picks and 17 second-round picks.
Yeah, me and Rich
like
the next, first-round picks
the next 6 years.
Picks on our kids.
Yeah.
So
it's insane. It's insane.
The one sports writer said the downfall of that is on top of what they did with forcing us to have the Colangelo family, who their NBA, they do whatever the NBA wants. Terrible. They said that the reason why Doc Rivers will never win Coach of the Year, the reason why Joel Embiid will never win MVP, the reason why Ben Simmons will never play of the year is because they still hold that against the organization. So they said, you want Joel Embiid to win MVP? We remember the process. He's not going to get my vote.
Yeah.
I think it's stupid, Rich, but that's how people are, man. It's petty.
That's the problem. They're
corny. Voters and baseball. Well, they're petty. Voters are the same way. They're petty. I had a really, he gave me a hard time when I asked him a question. I'm not voting for him. Bro, stop. Like, that's not how you should dictate how you run your business. But then,
that's not how we do business.
Goes back to the Timberwolves getting their picks suspended. Goes back to the frozen envelope conspiracy with Patrick Ewing. They wanted to make sure the Knicks got Patrick Ewing. It goes back to the Chris Paul trade when the commissioner stepped in and said the Lakers can't have Chris Paul and play. He can't play with Kobe, and then they sent him to
Houston.
They sent him. Houston. No, they sent him to New York.
Clippers.
The Clippers.
Yeah, he had to end up going to the Clippers. Yeah. That's right, because they didn't want to. Yeah, and then that's when they had Lob City. Yep. The Clippers ended up being good, never getting over the hump. But so it's like they pick and choose the battles they want to fight, right?
Gentlemen, it's nuts. But I want to talk about something else. Sure. I want to talk about, are we buying or selling the Phillies? What do we do? Like, the funny thing is, DeGrom on the IR or the IL for the foreseeable future. Lindor on the IL for the foreseeable future. The Mets are being the Mets. The Braves are
just hurt too. You got a lot of people hurt.
A lot of people hurt. Washington, Soto, Scherzer. That's really it. Turner. The Phillies are vying and fighting for first place.
They're 2 games out.
2 games out.
We thought like a couple weeks ago when I went back and listened, like we had them like dead and buried.
They should have been.
Keep talking that way because it worked.
Because they were.
It worked. So keep talking about them being dead and buried.
And it didn't work now, I mean, and part of it is they're obviously still relevant right now because they're playing in the worst division in baseball. But I mean, honestly, at this point, I'm so starved for something red in September and October. Like,
give them to me.
Buy. I want you to go get Kimbrel. I want you to go get Bryant or Marte or Buxton or like.
I want Buxton.
Go buy something.
And we're gonna have to eat money because we don't have the prospects. So we're gonna take on money. So, but this is the one part that bothers me, right? Because didn't I
don't
say
care.
Earlier
it ain't my money.
Isn't this the thing I said earlier in the year where he said that he didn't spend the luxury tax? So then now you're going to tell me you're going to spend a luxury tax. You should have just did it in the offseason, and we wouldn't be in this predicament anyway. We'd be 5 games, 6 games, 7 games up. So, yeah, you don't really have a choice but to buy now because you don't want to stay in purgatory. You're not going to sell, obviously, because you see how the teams in the division are going. So, you know what? I saw a crazy stat. It was Baseball Reference, Rich and Don. They put this stat out about the NL percentages to make the playoffs. Number 1 was Dodgers, 99.7%.
I saw that.
Number 2 was the Giants. Gabe Kapler led, Rich's favorite idol, Mr. Never Eats Ice Cream, Gabe Kapler, 98.6%. The Padres were 86.8%, and the Phillies were fourth.
Yeah,
to make the
48.
playoffs. 48%.
Yeah. Well, because everybody else in the NL East is falling apart.
And
honestly, it reminds me of
schedule based though, because the Phillies have the easiest schedule the rest of the season in the NL, which is a fact.
And I heard there's some
we play bad against bad teams usually, so we'll see.
Right.
We play down the competition. That's what we do.
There's one stretch where the Mets, they play like 13 straight games against the Dodgers and Padres.
Yeah.
So like there's a place where like where they can go and take, if they can be 4 or 5 games better than the Mets in that stretch, you can make a move there. And as bad as this division is, if you can get a closer, I mean, they've blown 23 saves.
I think they already blew more saves than they did percentage-wise last year, which is crazy. Last year.
I mean, they had a game earlier this year where they blew a save 3 different times. Like, so if they can get a closer, in my mind, like you can spin, I mean, even if you just had 5 more wins, like just 5 out of that 23.
Yeah.
So you had still blown 18 games.
I mean, they would have won the playoffs last year if they just would have. Their bullpen would have lost. I think it was lost like 2 or 3 less games. It would have made the playoffs. It's crazy.
And
they're checking in. I saw Starling Marte. They're checking in on a lot of guys right now.
Yeah.
Like they said, the Buxton thing. I like Buxton. Obviously, he's a really good center fielder. But the Twins offered him a $70 million extension. It's in his court. They said if he wants to sign it, we would love to have him. But if he doesn't sign it, they're going to try and move him. So it's whether he bets on himself and tries. If he bets on himself and finishes the year strong, he's going to get more than that anyway.
Right.
But that's all. It's like we always say, bet on yourself. But I know of all of us, if you told me right now, hey, here's your contract, you're going to get $70 million guaranteed. It'd be hard to turn it down.
Yeah, I'm taking it.
Well,
but
Rich,
you don't mind playing in Minnesota. Some people don't like that.
I'm a closet Twins fan.
Acuna was in that same spot. And he took the money, and he's far outplayed that contract now.
Yeah.
Oops.
Yeah, I mean, that's what happens though. That you have to. That's why you have to market yourself. Like Ohtani's only making like $3 million this year, but he just signed a deal with Fanatics too, the largest individual memorabilia deal ever in baseball, where like they're gonna sell like
everything,
hats, balls, bats with his name on it, like autograph, like everything. And he was already making the most out of every MLB player in the league on endorsements because he's obviously in Asia, he's huge.
Right.
So they're, it's being smart. They're starting to market their players better, which is a good thing. I mean, they should have been doing this a long time ago. You know what I mean? Like they wasted 6 or 7 years of prime Mike Trout, which is a crime. They're like, Tatis. I'm like, yeah, Mike Trout was doing this a long time ago. Where you guys been?
Right. Yeah. Did you see the thing where they auctioned off the All-Star jerseys?
Yeah.
And his jersey went for like $112,000.
Yeah, the next closest one was like $20,000 or $30,000, something like that.
Right.
Wait, Mike Trout?
Ohtani.
No, Ohtani.
That's
it's about time, especially those guys on the West Coast, that a lot of people don't see.
Yeah.
But if MLB can pick to handle something incorrectly,
it's going to be
9 times out of 10 they'll probably do it wrong.
Yeah, and it's crazy though because, like you said, the West Coast teams they don't really market them, but then they always market the Dodgers. So it's like I get it. The Dodgers have the name. They just won the World Series. They have the roster, but like the Angels have 2 of the best players in the league on the same team right now, and you're not like pushing that. I get it. The Dodgers are really good. They're a better team, obviously, but like you tell me, would I rather watch a Dodgers game or would I rather watch an Angels game just so I can see Trout and Ohtani? I'm watching the Angels game.
Yeah.
Those dudes are both mutants. You know what I mean? Yeah, $500 for a ticket to an Eagles game?
Yeah.
Never in a million years.
Nah, that's in Vegas. No thanks.
Even in Vegas? Because you know how much everything else is going to cost in Vegas?
Well, so the good thing is, I think
you buy the tickets and let me know. I'll come.
Chris, you're buying. So what I realized is we have to be buyers at this point. We need I need something. Ooh, good play. Oh, and then Didi throws it away, and that's what happens. And that's the Phillies. There you go. Error after error after error.
Nick, are you buying Hamels?
Sell.
Am I buying Hamels? He doesn't cost me a prospect, right? Can he be worse than that? Can he be worse than our 4 and 5? Our 4 and 5 starters? Probably not.
No, not at all.
But like I said, I don't have to give up anything for him. It's just paying him money that's not mine anyway. Sure, go ahead.
If
he gives me 1 or 2 good starts, Rich, and if he keeps us in games, because Cole knows how to pitch.
Oh yeah, of course.
You know what I mean? He's going to spot his fastball. He's going to throw that change up. He's going to keep you in games. He's going to be new Jamie Moyer, baby. Let's go.
I mean, if he could do what Jamie Moyer did and lead the Phillies in wins for 2 straight seasons.
At the age of 37.
At the age of 41 and 42, I think I'll be happy with that. But, I mean, I think you have to buy at this point. Give me Kimbrel, whatever. I don't care. Boom.
Yeah.
And that's going to be gone. Yep. And that's the Phillies blowing a lead.
Who just hit a home run?
That would be Brett Gardner.
Brett Gardner.
Come on, man.
Look at that.
Off of Nola?
Yep. After Didi threw one away with the guy on third.
And after Nola came back to my fantasy team and he's being a crumb bum.
I traded him to Foligno, so I'm happy with that. So Chris writes, Eflin is on the IL. Yep. And 2 other pitchers in the COVID-19 list. Yep. But it's not Ranger Suarez, who's been our hottest bullpen guy.
Go get Kimbrel and then move Ranger into the rotation. Who cares?
Yeah, I mean, you need to get Kimbrel. Go get Bryant. If you can get Buxton too. I don't care who you're selling at this point because there's nobody there. Just give them
some more relievers,
everyone.
Man. Daniel De Los Santos should never see the field again.
No.
JD Hammer should never see the field again.
Oh, man, the Phillies are so
why do you have JD Hammer up when you have Suarez, Falter, and Alvarado? You don't need JD Hammer with trying to be Ricky Vaughn. He's not Ricky Vaughn with the glasses. He don't throw hard enough and he's not good enough.
Oh, man. All right, I'm done talking about the Phillies now. I'm so angry over this. You got to be kidding me. How do you blow that?
Listen, Rich, as much as they've won some games and they've scored some runs, watching them play defense is pretty bad.
It's so bad.
Oh, yeah.
Ronald
Torreyes, I don't want to see him as my everyday third baseman, but he makes plays he made 2 plays. The one where he was charging the mound on Jazz Chisholm, and then he made the other one, he turned a double play. Those are 2 plays that Alec Boehm doesn't make.
No, he doesn't. Right. He would have
never got to the ball that Chisholm hit. He never would have got to that in time. He would have never got that out of his glove.
Or he would have threw the ball away that he was charging because that's just what he does. Right. So Adam writes, let's just have some fun now, boys. How about Aaron Rodgers turning down a 5-year extension? We mean the highest.
He wants out.
Yeah, dude.
He wants out. Bro, he will sit out
money anymore.
No, dude.
The money. He doesn't need the money.
It's the fact that he doesn't want to play in Green Bay anymore. That organization has done nothing for him.
As much as that is, Rich, he was he made it clear after they drafted Jordan Love and didn't even talk to him about doing it. He said he was blindsided by it, and he said at that moment, basically, he was like, "This is gonna be my last season in Green Bay. I don't trust him. I don't blame him.
No, not at all.
And obviously, but here's the thing: obviously, Green Bay also wants to move on from Aaron Rodgers when they drafted Jordan Love. If that's the guy who they think is the quarterback of their future, get what you can for Aaron Rodgers instead of him sitting out.
Big extension. It's weird, right?
It's just because they're just doing it to appease him because it would be sign the extension this year. Next year, you'll get all this guaranteed money. And then they'll get rid of him. Yeah, then they'll get rid of him anyway, which makes no sense because he's not going to sign an extension right now with them if he only plans to be there for, say, this would be his last year, because then it's going to make him harder to trade. So who's going to trade for 38-year-old Aaron Rodgers making $55 million a year?
I mean, there's a couple of good rosters, and he's still Aaron Rodgers, dude. And if he can play into his 40s like Brady,
but no one can afford it, Nick. That's why they keep throwing. That's why they keep. But this is the problem. This is why the NFL and Adam Schefter, they keep saying, "Hey, the Eagles are in the running for Deshaun Watson." They're not looking at it through the perspective of the fans. They're looking at it like next year we have the cap, we have the assets to trade for him. That's why they're bringing it up. They're not bringing it up like the Eagles actually want him. They're just saying it's the only
top 5 QB.
It's the only option for him.
Yeah,
there's no other teams that can afford
that's what Rodgers
or have anything to give up for him.
Where do you think Rodgers goes? Because if you're a team that's going to trade for Aaron Rodgers, you have to have a good roster.
Right,
Denver.
you got to be that one. You got to be that one piece away.
I mean, there's
Denver
a couple.
could give up. Yeah, Denver could give up 2 number ones and keep Drew Lock on his rookie deal and give him Teddy Bridgewater just to be a gap for him. Like, who cares? They don't care. They can keep Drew Lock. He's still got 3 years left.
I'm no cap person, but I'm looking at like Adam saying the Saints, like the Saints, like
they have
personnel wise. That's what I'm saying. They have zero
like, cash.
Like roster construction. Yes, they are that one piece away from being completely dominant, but they have zero money. They have no money to be able to pay.
That's why their roster's good, because it's all spent on their players.
Yeah,
correct.
That's why the Broncos have cap space and they have a decent young roster. I mean,
and you can make a move.
Have a better roster, and the Raiders, but like, I don't know. It's like, it's a money thing. Do you want to go? What's it going to truly cost? I think now they're going to be able to get him cheaper than they normally would, because he's turned down the extension. Then they're like, hey, we know he doesn't want to stay there. Why don't you just take what we're going to give you? You're not going to get more next year. We'll take on his full salary. You don't have to pay anything, and this is what we're about to give you back. So, like, there's teams out there that probably have a quarterback that you're like, he's pretty solid, that would trade for Aaron Rodgers because he's Aaron Rodgers.
Right.
The most talented quarterback that's ever walked on earth.
Yeah.
Like, the dude's ridiculous. So it's like they failed him over again. He's fed up, and he wants to win another ring. I don't blame him.
No, not at all. And I bet you he never thought that when he played in that one Super Bowl,
that
would be it.
That's like Dan Marino, man. Played in one Super Bowl his whole career. As good as he was, they only got the one Super Bowl,
which is crazy.
It's crazy. It's crazy to think that he's as good as he is and as dominant as he is, and the team has struggled as much as it has. But it's not a surprise considering the pieces that they've put around him.
Yeah, there's no first round offensive talent except for on the line. Like,
right.
Luck into Devontae Adams, who's, going to end up being a Hall of Famer, just because, if there's receivers, you can get lucky sometimes, but like,
wasn't
year
it
after year, never put a first round talent around him. It's just criminal, man.
Wasn't it? There was a tight end who was on the roster at one point, who was the only first round person, like the only first round player that they drafted.
Jermichael Finley?
Maybe. Rich. You might be right.
I think it's Jermichael Finley.
Man, like the thing is
that's criminal.
Are these guys really as good as you think they are, or is Rodgers making them that much better? You know what I mean? So like, that's part of the argument. It's like, are these guys like, you're like, oh, Aaron Jones, is he so good? It was Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers plays a big part in how good he is. Same thing with Devontae Adams. Yeah, he's good, but Aaron Rodgers is making throws that maybe Patrick Mahomes can make.
Aaron Rodgers would have been better too at the end of the season if MVS didn't drop like 7 touchdown passes.
Correct. He's on my fantasy team
that hit him in the chest for like 50 yards or deeper, which was insane. I saw him in the one game. I think it was like not consecutive, but first down, threw him the ball. It was like 60 yards, hit him in the chest, dropped it. Second down, they ran the ball, got 3 yards, went back to him, hit him in the chest again, dropped it. And it would have been 2 touchdowns with over 60 yards. And then he wound up catching 2 touchdowns for like 100. It was the game where he had 2 touchdowns for like 3 catches for like 120 yards. Like, imagine if he caught the other 2. Aaron Rodgers would have had such a better year. Like, Aaron Rodgers is one of the most talented arms ever to play the game. And for him to be right now surrounded with Devontae Adams and a bunch of other guys who can't catch the ball, it's insane. And he's still playing top.
Yeah, like their roster, you look at their roster, it's really like on offense, they have a pretty good offensive line, but their roster is really not that good, man.
No, they're not.
Like on offense, it's literally, you have a number 1 receiver, maybe a top 3 receiver in the league. You have a good RB1, but he's not Christian McCaffrey. He's not Alvin Kamara. He's not Dalvin Cook.
And then they draft A.J. Dillon. They draft A.J. Dillon in the second round. Like, why would you draft a running back in the second round?
I thought
and
they
then
were
sign Aaron Jones.
And then they re-signed Aaron Jones. Yep.
Right.
Like, they are just
like, I get it. You want to play physical ball, but like, you need to use your all-pro MVP quarterback. It's not really Rich. It's not even just his arm. His pocket manipulation is incredible too. The way he just slides side to side, and he can make. That's what I'm saying. Like the throws that he makes off angles and stuff like that. The only other person that ever does that is Mahomes.
Oh yeah,
it's like the dude's ridiculous. So
well,
there's going to end up being like a sleeper team that'll be like has a good roster. Their quarterback's decent. You're like, oh, this team's pretty good. But if they, is their quarterback going to be good enough? And then you're like, well, what team is that? It's like, I don't know.
Nick, what about a team like Tennessee?
I mean,
like
they signed Tannehill to that big extension.
I know they got. I know that, but I'm saying like
that's what I'm saying. Yeah, Don,
like
because their roster is good, but do they think that Tannehill can beat Mahomes in a playoff game? You know what I mean?
But
that's really how you think about it.
But you have to look at, does Green Bay want Tannehill in return?
Doesn't matter at this point.
Right, they're going to have to take something because they're going to at some point they're going to walk away with nothing.
You mean to tell me that Tannehill in a first-round pick is not? It's probably a better offer than some other teams. That's better than the Broncos' 2 first-round picks, probably. Because at least with Tannehill, you could still make the playoffs. They're probably still the best team in that division with Tannehill, because he's good enough. You know what I mean? He's not Aaron Rodgers, obviously, but he's better than a lot of these other bums in the league that are starting quarterbacks.
If Aaron
Rodgers better than Daniel Jones, Rich.
Who Tannehill's better than
the Giants? That's what I'm saying. Like the Giants could get Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
Can you imagine him in New York, bro?
They're up against it too.
But their roster's good, and they can move some pieces.
They'd have to move a lot of pieces.
They have good wide receivers. They got some talent,
and they'd have to give them one of those wide receivers.
That's the type of thing that could happen. And then if the Giants do that, then if you're the Eagles, you're almost forced to go get Deshaun Watson.
You have to.
Then you're like, we can't beat Aaron Rodgers with Jalen Hurts. We can beat him with Deshaun Watson.
I honestly think that they're kind of. They're waiting for that whole. They're waiting for that mess to clear. They're waiting for them to be able to know.
But he's also not going to cost. He's also not going to cost tip top price, because no matter what's going to happen, he's going to get 6 games. He's going to appeal, get 4. He's not going to cost 3 first-round picks. And he might cost you a first-round pick to go get, but you have to take on that salary.
They can have Jalen Hurts back too.
Yeah.
And Rich, it's because he publicly said before he wanted out. Like he's made that clear. Yeah, so they have no, like, obviously the team has leverage because they can still control because he's under contract, right? So it's like, we can still fine you, we can still do this and that if we want to, but
Denver has Teddy Bridgewater and Drew Lock, Chris.
Yes.
So they have 2 quarterbacks.
They're always talked about just because people think that that's their one missing piece. Now, I don't know if that.
Drew Lock was just terrible last year.
It's like that's the one missing piece, but they're in a good division too. So it's like the Chargers are good, the Raiders are decent, the Chiefs are the Chiefs. So it's like the Broncos probably have to compete like by getting a quarterback, but is the cost going to outweigh the long term there? Because the Chargers are probably going to have Herbert for the next 15 years.
Yeah,
it's like we have and Mahomes. They got Mahomes for the next 15 years. So it's like,
they need to hit on.
Is it worth us going to get a 38-year-old, 39-year-old Aaron Rodgers now and hope that we can win the division? Now you're that market. They win. They won Super Bowls, so they probably think that, hey, we need to do that. But it's like
the Broncos' offense is terrifying if they have a quarterback. If Aaron Rodgers is there and he's slinging to Sutton, Jerry Jeudy, Noah Fant, AJ Hamler, Javonte Williams, Melvin Gordon.
Yep, and they got a good defense too.
And they have a good defense. That's a scary offense to give Aaron Rodgers some guys who.
And he's playing in a thin air. The ball will probably go even farther. Probably throw an 80-yard dime.
He just flicks the ball, just a flick of the wrist.
I mean, they definitely don't have the assets that the Eagles do in the 3 first-round picks, but they probably are a team that'll be talked about for Deshaun Watson.
But these guys also here's my whole thing. Like Don, like you're saying, you're exactly right. But I love when Schefter always says, "Oh well, the Eagles have the picks and they have the cap room." Yes, we have the cap room, but these guys who want out, who are publicly not happy, are not going to demand the price that they would get.
No, they're not.
You're not. So we could end up keeping 2 of our first round picks. We could end up keeping 3 of our first round picks, because if we're taking on Deshaun Watson, we're taking on his baggage, his suspensions, his $45 million. You think we're going to give you 2 first round picks or 1 first round picks? Maybe 2 seconds and a third, because you're not going to get, these guys aren't going to get tip-top value for players who don't want to play there anymore, or players who might have a questionable stuff.
Hey, Rich, what you do with Deshaun Watson is you just float it as, look, we'll give you Jalen Hurts. We'll give you a second or third round pick this year. And then next year we'll give you a first, because if you get Deshaun Watson, you're going to be a playoff team. That first is in the 20s now instead. And it's less valuable to you, but it's still a first round pick to them. But then that means next draft, you still keep your 3 first rounds. If you have to trade a first round pick this year, to get Deshaun Watson, if that sets your team up with a quarterback under contract, he's elite talent level wise. You already are building the roster to compete, right? In the division, like this division is still a division that they could win if they get elite quarterback play. So,
I mean, he's top 5 in the league when he's on, and he instantly becomes the best quarterback in this division.
Absolutely. Yeah. They still need another cornerback though.
Yeah. I mean,
I heard Xavier Howard's very unhappy, and they said,
yeah, but they need to pay him. He's making 13 this year, 14 the year after, 13, and then 12 million. He's signed for like the next 4 years, and he's 29. Yeah. So keep that in mind.
I thought he was younger than that. I thought he was like 26.
He's like 28 or 29, I think. Yeah. Now Steven Nelson's available. Steven Nelson's a good guy you can go sign right now. But then the issue.
Steven Nelson, he said he was going to he's making his decision in the next couple of days.
There's $8 million that is just sitting, waiting to be traded, and the Eagles are doing nothing.
Well, of course they are, because that's the Eagles.
They sat on their hands for too long. Now they're not going to get anything for him. Should have traded Zach Ertz after the Super Bowl, man. I told you that, Rich.
Well, I think we all said that. I've never been a Zach Ertz guy.
Never higher, but they get
Zach. I'm not a Zach Ertz guy.
No, I know.
I knew what Zach Ertz was. He was an overrated 2-yard pass catcher. Guy's afraid to go across the middle, has no toughness, and it showed on that one play where there was nobody around him. He caught the ball and he rolled and only got 5 yards when he could have stayed on his feet and ran for 45 yards and a touchdown. I know what Zach Ertz is, and I don't want him. Like I didn't want, like you said, after the Super Bowl, I didn't want him. Thank you for what you did. You, Alshon, and you should have never signed Deshaun. You all should have been gone at that moment.
Yep, they got nostalgia. They gave out thank you contracts, and they wanted to keep these guys around. And I think Ertz had a really good year the year after. Great. Dallas, all that did was I think that hurt Dallas Goedert's growth too, though. Because you draft him to come in, he's more athletic, he's bigger, he's stronger, he's faster. Okay, he doesn't have the short hands, but that's because he's actually running real routes. He's running go routes across the middle. He's taking hits. Like you watch these guys like Darren Waller, George Kittle break tackles across the middle. I don't think Zach Ertz has ever done that in his life.
You see Darren Waller running down the middle of the field, catching the ball one-handed and outrunning a safety.
We're going to see Kyle Pitts do this year too.
Yeah, you're going to see Kyle Pitts do that.
Yeah, he's going to do a lot of crazy shit. But on to the what was it? The we'll stick with the Eagles. Everybody being up in arms over the banner.
Oh, Jesus
like
Christ.
if you I tweeted from our account, if you were mad over a banner, I feel sorry for you. It's Nick Foles' hands holding up the banner or holding up the Super Bowl trophy. It's indignant to us winning the Super Bowl. It has nothing to do with glorify. Like people are so fucking pathetic. Our fan base is so soft and pathetic when it comes to pictures and banners and statues. Like, shut the fuck up. It's a banner of the Lombardi trophy that we won in 2017. Stop. Stop.
Like, I saw it and I was like,
there's a statue of Nick Foles out front of the building. What do you care about this banner for?
Like, who cares? Like, I didn't get it. I saw it and it was literally like, at one point I had to just like close it all down because I'm like, it's like one after another, people like putting it up there. And I'm like, what? Like, who cares? It like, yeah, it's cool to remember. Like, are you going to put up a picture of Jason Kelce in a Mummer's costume outside of like out front of the Art Museum? No.
Put up a banner of Jason Kelce just for him to retire at the end of the year, and then you got to replace it again.
Right. Like, you put it up there. Like, this is their easy way of a long-term solution for something that they're not going to ever have to replace if they don't want to. Yep. That banner can be up there and stay up there, and people will be happy, and they'll pull their cars over on 95 and take pictures of it, and like they'll be like that. That was the easiest, simplest long-term solution for the Eagles. But people want to read into every single nuance of every little thing. Get over it.
Agreed.
It ain't that big of a deal.
Gentlemen, it has come time for our favorite segment, our closing remarks, our final thoughts. My internet is being so goofy, so I have to end this because I'm lagging like a mofo. So we're going to have to end this. Oscar, since you said 2 words and you're wearing a Knicks jersey because you're irrelevant, it's your turn to speak first.
Let's see. Final thoughts. Since we were talking about it earlier, I guess Don asked me about why I love or what I got into Formula One, and I literally just got into it over quarantine. If you like excitement and like just like trash talking, it's almost kind of like UFC on a track while racing cars. It's like just like they respect each other, not to the fact where they're disrespecting everybody, but like they do petty ass shit, and it's so funny. Like this weekend, like Lewis Hamilton essentially created an accident that was really dangerous, but he just did it because he wanted to win. Like it was just like, what the fuck? Now Formula One is that sport. It's freaking crazy.
They make bank too, don't they?
Oh yeah, it's very expensive. Like I mean, the millions and millions of dollars they pour into these cars.
Lewis Hamilton only dates like models too.
Yeah, I mean it's crazy. And like you learn like, I guess you could learn more about like if you're into it. I guess like the mechanics of the car when it comes to like all the design, aerodynamics, when it comes to the engines, and basically anything mechanical between turning.
That's nuts, dude. Don't they go like they're going like almost 300 miles an hour, right?
Yeah, it's above like 200, definitely. It's crazy. It's absolutely nuts. And just, I couldn't imagine going down a turn going that fast.
Yeah, like you turn your wheel just a little bit too much, and and the whole car flips, and then it's crazy.
It's absolutely nuts.
That's pretty intense. I'll give it that. I'd rather watch that than some other stuff that they show on TV, man. That's for sure.
Definitely.
I'd rather watch that than NASCAR all day. Don,
what
are your final thoughts? Yeah, NASCAR. Lean to the left. Lean
the 3-hour left turn.
I would get seasick before I got drunk at that thing. Jesus.
So I saw something super cool this week. I saw this little clip on the news. I can't remember where I saw it, but it's a company. It's called the Air Company, but they make vodka from carbon dioxide that's captured in the air. It's this crazy. It's
Oscar's interested.
It's crazy. So
you had me at air.
So that
give me a vodka.
So it removes. So in order for them to make this process happen, they remove carbon dioxide from the air. For each bottle that they make, it removes a pound of carbon dioxide. Meanwhile, when you make a regular bottle of alcohol, it like adds 20 pounds of carbon dioxide. It's like it got me on like some whole other crazy scientific level, but I just thought it's just fucking cool that they're making vodka from carbon dioxide that they're capturing just in the air. Just crazy shit.
I wonder if it's like harmful for you, you know, like how carbon dioxide is bad for you. Like you're just like you're poisoning yourself with alcohol, but you're poisoning yourself now with carbon dioxide in your system.
I mean, alcohol is already pretty bad for you, so
well, and the tail end of it is that what they're hoping is that it becomes part of the process that if they're going to Mars and they're going to habitate Mars and it would be a way that they could create that process and make renewable fuel on Mars. So there's like all these different connections back to other stuff. So
you see,
my mind is blown.
All things,
just crazy stuff.
That's the science teacher, and he's looking on a way to incorporate that in his class this year. Keep the kids interested.
You got it.
All right, guys,
You're
we're making
kids how to make vodka in class.
Hold on, class.
All right, guys,
get out the beakers.
Mr. Seaway needs a little swig of the happy juice before third period. We got this going.
So Nick, Don, I saw a really good tip. They said it was like a thing about like teachers' advice that stuck with them, and the guy was like, Yeah, my one English teacher used to walk down the hallway in the morning when class was starting with an empty coffee cup, and he would just go, hot coffee, hot coffee. Everybody would get out of his way. He said and it worked every time for 4 years. He said everybody would part the scene. He would have a hallway free. Hot coffee, hot coffee.
I love it.
That's
Start
awesome.
using your drunk on broad mug just through the hallway.
Hot coffee, hot
And that's
coffee.
like, you know what's crazy? It's like that when the kids come back, that's the stuff they remember. They remember, like, if I tell them like the horrible, corny dad joke, they'll never like the science stuff. That's all semantic stuff. Like they'll remember like that, like those anecdotal things. Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, they'll remember if you teach them how to make vodka.
Don, I'll remember if you teach me how to make vodka.
Rich is gonna be like, hey guys, we have a special guest. Rich is gonna be like in the classroom, zooming in the back, watching the kids make vodka, learn it, and it's like interactive.
I have a badge.
He's in 8th grade. Yeah, he's a little bit dull. He got left back a couple times.
He's bald and smells weird. It's the vodka.
He's a transfer. He's a transfer student.
Hello,
I'm from Russia.
I'm from Russia. 8th grade. Chernobyl did my hair bad.
We have beards when we're 9.
Hot and red on me. Beat Bobby Clark team.
The Russian tennis player coming back.
Russian table tennis. Oh, I got to get that video for you guys. Such a great video. Nick, what are your final thoughts?
I just wanted to say we had a really good time at your wedding on Friday. Pretty good. Nice little party. Me and Oscar were the only ones wearing pants at the whole wedding.
Ooh, hot.
Both just dripping sweat. So the big homies with big sweats. That's it.
Exactly. We ain't afraid of no sweat.
Nah, man. We need more sweat than everybody else does. You know, I still had like 3 plates of food though. So
he did, and Nick gave a great speech. Nick's speech was great.
Pretty good.
It was good. It was a really good speech.
Awesome.
Talk about how much I hate Rich. Actually, secretly, we all hate him.
Plus, Oscar tried to stab me with a knife. It was nice. It was very flattering.
I mean, it's a Mexican thing to do at a wedding. I don't have a gun. What am I supposed to do?
It's what we do in Tequila, Mexico. Don't worry about it.
He goes to the hospital. Like, what happened to you? I got stabbed in the rib by my Mexican friend. I was getting married. Oh, that's normal.
Yeah. You're the third one. Go sit next to Paco and Jorge. You'll be okay. Everything's fine. So my final thoughts. Well, I'm in a best ball draft in 1 minute. Thank you, Yahoo, for putting this on now. And I have third pick. So I'm probably going to take Derrick Henry, but I really don't want to. So I'm probably going to take Kamara. My final thoughts, I really don't have any. That's pretty much it.
Rich has 4th pick in our fantasy draft. Who are you taking, Rich, with 4th pick?
I don't know.
I have 3rd pick, so tell me who you want 4th, so I know who not to take for you.
So most likely, if I'm not taking, I don't want Derrick Henry. I'm probably going to go Travis Kelce. Not going to lie. Probably Travis Kelce.
The thing with Rich is that it sounds crazy, but he would do something like that, and it would work out for him. Because he always used to draft double tight ends. He used to draft Dallas Clark.
Yep.
And then who was the other one he used to draft?
Jason Witten.
That's right. Jason Witten and Dallas Clark when they were both in their primes.
90 catches.
He would get like 22 every week from both of them because they both have 9 or 10 catches every week.
Oh, man.
Yeah, those were the good days.
That's why Rich always does leagues where you can have super flex and you can play 2 tight ends.
You have to. Chris asked, are we going to watch the Olympics open ceremony? No, I don't watch the Olympics. I really could care less.
I only watch the Olympics when I get to watch them. Like the baseball team is okay.
I'll turn it on. I mean, my kids will watch it. Like we'll watch it.
There's some ones that I think are kind of corny, but there's some good ones.
I did when I was younger, and I can't watch it anymore.
The one that I found, I guess I just found it at like some random time. European handball.
Ooh. Oh, yeah. I heard about that.
European handball is like it's like the ball is like kind of like a volleyball, but it's like the size of like a softball. But there's like a 3-point line that you can like run and jump behind and throw into like a net that's like a third the size of a soccer goal.
So it's a game that you'd play with like your little brother in your basement when you were kids, and they just made it a real game.
It's like a combination of like
good stuff.
Soccer, basketball, and dodgeball. It's pretty cool.
We need to make some drinking games that Rich is really good at. Olympic sports. Can Jam should be in the Olympics.
It's a good game.
Bago, or what do they call it? That's what they call it.
Cornhole.
Should be an Olympics. I watched cornhole one time on ESPN. And the wife
Those
was
dudes
like,
are insane.
"Are you watching cornhole right now?" And I said, "Yeah, these dudes are. They put the beanbag wherever they want, bro."
Rick, they had the national championship on 4th of July. It was in Valley Forge.
I saw
it was
it
at the Valley Forge Casino.
Why didn't you go, Don? Come on, man. You should have spectated it. You should have put a booth up there with.
I didn't even see.
Got some interviews.
Don't let us down, Don.
I'm sitting there at the end of the night on 4th of July, and I'm like, "This is the only thing on."
Probably.
Yeah,
the worst thing to watch.
It was wild though.
Gentlemen, I would like to thank you all. This has been fun. It's always a good time. Until next week, as we say on the ending of Drunk on Broad, fuck Spike Eskin. And let's just have a good week. Philly, peace out.
Be good.